What is up? Welcome to the NBA Rundown, brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. I'm your host, Astaire, joined today by Tyler Hicks and Travis Mangone. Travis, doing double duty. You've already broken down the slate once on your morning show with Titletown. Gave out a bunch of great information there for those who missed it. Of course, you can go back and check it out if you're not doing the baseball DFS. But if not, Travis is going to review some of that great information on this show today. Tyler, kind of a rough night for us, huh? I mean, we got Miami, but that Dallas game, man, was that disheartening to you as an NBA fan? Because I'm like, this series isn't going to be close. What did you think of the Mavericks and the Suns?
No, it makes me feel good about my son's Western Conference bet, though, to win the Western Conference. They look like they're back to normal. The role players are hitting threes, so that's a good sign. But yeah, I mean, betting wise, we tried to take Ayton's rebounds. He decided he was going to be a perimeter player and not rebound until the third quarter, and
that was weird.
I hit Booker's over 23.5, and he hooked me. He finished with 23. So you love to see those things.
I mean, to me, that game wasn't even close. It wasn't exciting at all. The Miami game wasn't exciting at all. Travis, what were your main takeaways from last night?
Main takeaways, Doc Rivers and DeAndre Jordan situation was a disaster. So that was unfortunate, but I think we know the Sixers. What do they need? They need Joel Embiid back. That's going to be key. And then Suns and Dallas. I mean, it's just Suns are just too good for Dallas. I mean, Luka, he could put up however many points he wants, and none of those role players will be able to step up. The only way somehow Dallas can win that series is if like someone rises up, or maybe two guys that we don't expect, and just start playing like absolutely out of their mind. So I just don't have a ton of confidence in that. And I think those two games that we've watched. They feel like it's pretty obvious what's going to happen. The only thing that's a little different with that Sixers series is if Embiid's back, and depending what he looks like, then I think the Sixers are alive. But I just don't know how he's going to look. That's going to be the real key in game.
Do you expect him to be that guy? I'm trying to think of who the player was. I think it's Mike Conley that talked about playing with an orbital. He's like, you are not the same person. So I'll be interested, even if he does take the floor, how good that he really is. And I'll tell you what, right? Yesterday on this show, I was team Jalen Brunson all day. Boy, a lot easier to get some offense going against those guys that don't even try on the Jazz. He was getting locked up pretty bad last night, and I thought that was a rough turn of events for Dallas because, they're definitely going to need him to help out, and he looked like he got completely locked down. So we'll get more into those games tomorrow. Let's just get right into tonight so we can do a quick, efficient show today, give out the winners, and then get Travis ready to give out some MLB content. Our first game for tonight. Oh my gosh, I already have a bookmaker up. I'm not even ready. What am I doing here, guys? Our first game for tonight is, help me out here, Tyler. The Bucks and the Celtics. Bucks are catching 5 at home when we pull up these numbers, so I can go ahead and get the total here. But I'm going to like the Bucks again, man. They're catching points now. Do they win straight up? I don't know. I took the money line last time. Maybe I'll just play it safe this time and take the +5. Of course, we know that Tatum and Brown went 10 of 31 last time, right? They were, 18 of 50 from three. So there's definitely improvements that the Celtics can make. At the same time, the Bucks weren't necessarily that dominant, right? Giannis was only 9 of 24, so he can also improve as well. And it's one of those things, right? When we did the Nets Celtics, we kept saying, oh, well, KD and Kyrie are going to bounce back, They never really bounced back because the defense was that good. That could be the situation here again tonight. I have Bookmaker pulled up the totals, 214.5 plus 193 for the Bucks on the money line, even more lucrative than game one. Tyler, how do you approach this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think Boston's going to bounce back. I think they pick up the win. Now, 5 might be a little too many points, so I don't hate taking the Bucks here. I think it could be a close one. I think the total's a bit too high, though. I mean, we seen the defense in the first game on both sides. Yeah, the Bucks hit some of their threes that they got wide open, but Boston did miss a lot of theirs. So, I mean, 215 still seems a bit high, so I'd lean under. The props I was looking at in this game, they have Grant Williams points, rebounds, and assists listed at 12.5. Mm-hmm. I think Robert Williams after last game's going to kind of get less minutes, and they're going to have to use more of Grant Williams just to get another shooter on the floor. Because you kind of seen it when they had to space the floor and he was just kind of stuck there. He can't even shoot mid-range, so he's just kind of plugging the holes. So I think Grant Williams could get some extra minutes, and that 12.5 on his PRA is a little short.
Now, Mangone, when you were on this morning with Tato, you guys made a good point. One of the reasons that Robert Williams did get less run in the fourth quarter was the deficit. The idea being if the Celtics are playing with the lead, he's more likely to keep those minutes because they're going to want the best defensive lineup on the floor. What do you think of the Grant Williams, Robert Williams take, and just kind of review your thoughts on the Celtics-Bucks game?
Yeah, I think it depends on where, how the game is going. If they're losing and they need to play smaller, I think Grant Williams gets more run. But I don't know. I think that they need Robert Williams to play well. And if you're using Grant Williams lineups, they're not as a primary, they're probably not winning this series. That's the big concern that I have. Maybe it can work. Maybe you get the Horford and Grant Williams and it's better than going Robert Williams. But I do think that defense leads to easy buckets on the end of the floor. When you have good defense, that can lead just an easier transition bucket. So I think that they are going to need Robert Williams. I like Robert Williams. I think at 4.9, he's definitely in play for me and someone that I'm looking at rostering tonight. But the only reason why I don't know if I'll definitely get there is that forward position seems pretty loaded today. We can start with Al Horford, which 5.8K, too cheap on Al Horford for the amount of opportunity that he is going to get in this spot. So like Al Horford a lot in this game. On the flip side, on the Bucks, at power forward, Bobby Portis. He's also getting some pretty good opportunity as well. I got to give Coach Bud credit. I give him crap a lot of the time, so when he does something sharp, I need to at least say it. I think it was pretty sharp that he decided not to go with the Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis lineups together, that he kind of kept them more separate than I thought he would. So I think Bobby Portis is definitely better than Brook Lopez in this spot if I have to pick one. That's the guy I expect them to lean on if they need to. Giannis, obviously a good spend up. The question is, do you have the money to do it? And the issue is, yes, there are some guards you can like on this slate in the next game that are cheap, but a lot of really good mid-tier forwards where I just think the Giannis bill is going to be kind of difficult. I also think Boston wins this game. Some of the other factors I think that played into that first game that were kind of a struggle, Marcus Smart goes out of the game, right? And I don't know what his actual injury ended up being. I don't know if his shoulder got popped back in. Who knows exactly what happened. But losing Marcus Smart throughout the game, that's just something that can derail a game and just kind of mess you up. On top of that, and maybe it's just me finding narratives to fit my reason and why Boston, I think, bounces back. But if you think about it, that game was played at what? Noon or 1 o'clock on a Sunday. That's just a weird start time. Sometimes those weird start times, I just give a pass if the game just felt a little off. And it did feel off from the Celtics. It's just not their style, the way that they played. The amount of 3-pointers they shot and how early they shot them and just contested. It's just not your typical Celtics basketball. I'm going to give them a pass. I think the Garden's going to be rocking tonight. I think Boston -4.5. I put it on the spreadsheet spread. I like the Celtics to get the job done tonight. And I think DFS wise, I think some of these Bucks are just good fades at their price tags because I think some of these Celtics are at really good price tags. And I think that next game that we're going to talk about has some really good salary savers in that mid-tier range and at the bottom that are worth putting into your lineup. So I'm definitely if I have to pick a DFS team that I'm not as excited about, it's more than likely this Bucks team. I think this is the team that if you told me I had to fade one completely on my lineup, this would be the team I would fade.
All right, and forgive me because I'm doing that calorie deficit thing, right? Trying to get back in shape. My brain isn't with me today. Did you guys say that Scott Foster's doing this game on the morning show?
No, he's doing
the next game.
You know why?
Oh, okay.
Because they understand that Boston can get the job done. They're -4 according to Vegas. The Warriors, what are they? They're -2 on the road. Scott Foster's needed. Why else Scott Foster's needed, spread? Because listen, the Celtics are a very disciplined team. You know who's not a disciplined team? Jaren Jackson Jr. So they need to make sure that whistle's not being blown as the head official. He's got to make sure to just not call anything and let Jaren Jackson Jr. play. And then if Draymond is getting out of hand and getting in Jaren Jackson's way, let's blow some whistles to get him off the court. That makes a lot of sense.
Again?
Well, we're not going to eject him, right? But just get him in foul trouble, right? Get him out of there. I think that's what they got to do. Get him
All
on the
right.
bench. Steve Kerr puts in Kuminga or something stupid. That's what Scott Foster's trying to do.
I like Kuminga. Tyler, what props you got for this game?
Yeah, other than the Grant Williams PRA, I mean, if you think Robert Williams does play more minutes here, his rebounds are still 8.5. I think that number's too low. You could clear that. Or you could just go to his points plus rebounds. That number is set at 16.5. I think he could easily get a double-double in the spot. He gets 30-plus minutes. So those are some props to look at. And, of course, you can go to the main guys, Tatum with his points and his threes. But his threes are over 3.5. and I'm seeing minus 135. So if you can find a better line than that, I would play it. And then some of the performance doubles: Tatum 5+ threes and win plus 270, Brown 4+ threes and win 3-1, Al Horford double and win plus 370, Al Horford 2+ threes and win plus 150. Those are some ones I'd be looking at.
Everyone's on the Celtics here, man. I can feel like myself and the professor Gregory Russo might be doing another me against the world victory lap tomorrow if the Bucks pull it off. Go ahead, Travis.
Tyler, what was that 3-point line you said?
On Tatum?
No, you said on Horford, right?
There's a Horford 2+ threes and Boston wins plus 140.
I like that one just because I think he's going to get so many looks. Like I just think the opportunity is really there for him.
Yeah. Travis, Jaylen Brown, 7,700 on DraftKings. Do you think he has a bounce back night?
So actually, this is how I think you play Jaylen Brown. So the shooting guard position, it's not my favorite today. There's definitely guys you can play. It's not a bad position, but I think like Jaylen Brown is not a bad way to go at that shooting guard position. It does feel like power forward. You got Giannis, Tatum, Draymond, Portis, Jackson Jr., Clark, Horford. Like power forward feels pretty loaded to me. Now, small forward, not the greatest position either, but there is Giannis and Tatum that you can plug in there, and that's where I would likely plug those guys in if I do one of those spend ups. But shooting guard is a little tougher today. I do think a lot of people are just going to say, shooting guard's not tough, just plug in Gary Payton II. And I agree. Gary Payton is one of the better values on the slate. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. But if you are fading a Gary Payton, let's just take him out of the equation. Let me ask you, Tyler, what shooting guard are you excited about? Are you excited to play Klay Thompson and Jordan Poole roulette? Are you excited to roster Dylan Brooks? No. Are you excited about Desmond Bane? I don't mind Bane. I think Bane's a solid play. I can get away with it. And then are you looking forward to Derek White and Grayson Allen and Melton? You have to take
that was my guy, Melton. Why don't we go back there?
Because he's going to be 75% plus owned tonight. Everyone on Mother is going to be on Melton tonight.
That's what I mean. Like, so like look at if you go to every position, what position just feels like the weakest? I mean, center is always can feel weaker, but those power forwards you can slot in there. Point guard is like not great. I'll give you that. If you want to say point guard, it's Ja, Curry, Holiday, Poole, Smart, Melton. But like, I don't love shooting guard. And here's the thing. If everyone is just plugging in Melton at shooting guard or Payton in the cheap one, well, if I go up and spend on Jaylen Brown at my shooting guard spot, doesn't that just make me kind of different already? And if Tatum's going to have ownership, doesn't that leverage all the Tatum ownership? Because if Jaylen Brown goes for like a 55 fantasy point game, I don't know if Tatum for sure has a big game. Could they both? Yes. But I just think the point I'm getting at here is I think shooting guard is a spot where you can really take advantage of on this slate, especially with Desmond Bane having that questionable tag. People might be worried to roster Desmond Bane today, even though I think it's just a precautionary thing and it doesn't really matter that much. So I just think shooting guard is a really interesting position. And I think Jaylen Brown, plugging him in at that spot, is like an instant way to just kind of make you a little bit unique on the slate. I
definitely agree with you about being unique, but I want to ask you about fading chalk and just some general game theory. Value chalk. So I'm fading value chalk here. It doesn't seem to me like there's the same edge as fading spend up chalk or even mid-range chalk. And my idea is like, so let's say for this value chalk, let's say I plug Melton in tonight. I'm going to be pretty happy if he gets like 25 to 30 points. If he busts, what am I getting? Between 9 to 15 points, right? So I lost 20 points there. If he busts, is that really going to give me a huge edge over the field?
Correct. That's not where your huge edge is. Your huge edge is when Jaylen Brown goes over the top, right? And then what Jaylen Brown does is he has that big game, and then you separate the gap at the position where Melton's sitting at 8 fantasy points and Jaylen Brown has 50, and you say make it up somewhere else. Well, are you making it up at small forward or power forward with Jason Tatum? No, because I've already buried you with Jaylen Brown, and you probably have spend down small forwards while I have a spend up shooting guard. It's just a different build.
That's a great explanation. I understand.
That's just a different build than the field. And I'm not even saying I'm fading Gary Payton or Melton there. It's definitely just something I noticed when looking at lineups. And I wish I would have noticed it yesterday. Devin Booker at shooting guard. I think just shooting guard was terrible yesterday. I should have just played Devin Booker over Chris Paul looking back, not just because of the performance, even if Chris Paul had the big game. I still think that shooting guard was just so weak that it made sense. Now, I don't think it's that weak today, but I think maybe because of yesterday, some mistakes that I may have made, that's why I'm looking at that. Like, for instance, Tyler Hero's a guy I didn't really want to play, and I was like, it's an expensive tag. But looking back, I should have said, shooting guard's not that good. It makes sense that he's getting popped in there a little bit. So that's some of the things that I look at when I'm building out my lineups, when I'm just running things in the optimizer. Instead of, I mean, you can do it hand building wise. I think it's easy to see in the optimizer, but you can find it when you're kind of building by hand. And the one thing I noticed by hand today, just when I first looked, was power forward's really good today. Like, it's really strong, where I just don't know if I'm going to need to do a spend up for a Giannis. It just seems like it's not going to be necessary. Like, if you just look, Al Horford, he's someone I'm probably going to have tagged today on the cash chart and like a lot. Jaren Jackson Jr., Brandon Clark, both great plays. Bobby Portis, Draymond Green. I have found 5 power forwards, and I can slot them in at the center spot too, where yes, you can make the argument, well, Giannis can be a small forward, but those are also all mid-tier guys where I won't be able to get 2 spend-up studs then. Maybe there's only 1 spend-up stud, and I'm not just going to slam all those guys in my lineups, but that's definitely one of my biggest things I'm looking at today is how deep power forward is. And I'm also going to try and figure out, if I'm slamming these power forwards in, what's that going to do for my shooting guard spot? Is it better to spend up or spend down? That's something I'm going to look at when I kind of pull up the optimizer and run some stuff.
All right. Tyler, anything more on this one before I move to the next one?
No, I got nothing left on this one. I think we touched on everything.
All right. Let's jump in to – I got my days mixed up. I was doing some prep for tomorrow already this morning. I don't even know what I'm doing. So tonight's final game is the Warriors and the Grizzlies. Scott Foster is on the whistle. You know, it's so stupid to me, and I'll say this every single show. It's so stupid that a rep is overshadowing the game like this. It's just so stupid. At this point, they should be out. You should not know these guys' names, right? If you're doing a good job, you shouldn't know their name. Okay, there's my rant.
You're 100% right. I don't know if you said that on Twitter or someone else. I've seen that before, and like it's 1,000% correct. If we know these names, like these officials' names, it's a problem. But because I know their names, I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to think about how that can benefit me DFS-wise. While other people might say, oh, it doesn't matter. I think it matters a little bit. The other problem is trying to figure out how to take advantage of it. I don't know the exact way to take advantage of it for sure. One way I might take advantage of it is like maybe I'm like a little more hesitant on some Warriors, like just in general. Now, I'm not just going to X them all from my pool, but it's something I'm definitely going to think about. That's what I thought about when I saw Jason Tatum against the Nets. I know that Boston ended up winning, but it was clear that Scott Foster did call fouls that were against Tatum that were not in his favor. And Tatum was the chalkiest player on that slate, and he got a 37. And KD, he was way less owned and got like 65 DK points. And we're not playing and picking who's winning or losing unless you're doing betting. If you're doing DFS, that's a way to take advantage of it. And I might take advantage of it by being a little cautious about which Warriors that I play tonight. I think it's crazy to throw like Clay, Steph, and Draymond in a lineup together, like a lot of them. Like that's just upping my risk of foul trouble or just like things not going in their favor and just like a little bit things to be concerned about when I'm kind of building out my lineups.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Tyler, because, of course, I tilted and then listened at the second half on the radio and then rewatched it when I already knew what happened. But weren't all those guys in foul trouble in the first game to begin with? Didn't Clay have foul trouble and Steph?
Yeah.
In game one? Yeah.
No, they all dealt with foul trouble. That's another thing.
It was almost like instant, too. Like you blinked and they were in foul trouble.
It was Clay and Steph, 2 fouls each really early on in the first quarter. And then you also had Draymond Green that got kicked out.
Yeah. And Clay got his third halfway through the second.
At one point they had a crazy lineup out there that like I was tilting watching. I want to pull it up because it was. I still don't know how this team won this game because like they're like the lineup they had out there on the court, and in a playoff game this should just never happen. You should never have Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green all sitting at the same time. That's just like my own opinion. I think it's wrong. And at one point you had those guys sitting. And the lineup, I want to find it because it was Draymond, Steph, and then trying to find Clay Clay. Yeah, here it is. So they're all right here. So this was the lineup spread. Andrew Wiggins, Gary Payton, Jordan Poole, Kevon Looney, and Damian Lee. I mean, I get it. It's
I don't hate that lineup, and my argument would be that right now Jordan Poole's the second best player on the team.
not in the playoffs, but I get it. Yeah, Jordan Poole's been great, but I still was like, yeah,
at that point, you're just hoping to tread water, right, and kill these minutes and get your guys back in.
It's just like it's one of those things. Like that team does not. They're so deep. They don't need to like. You don't need to have Steph, Clay, and Draymond sitting on the bench at the same time. I just don't think like if you run your minutes correctly, I just don't think they ever have to all be sitting. That's just.
I think that was the fouls that got him there. But hey,
I agree. I think the fouls is what got him there. Correct.
Travis, just like when you go to Vegas, they wanted to have the pool party. Travis said it on this morning show, and I'm going to jack his breakdown. The fact that Draymond got kicked out and Memphis couldn't get that win, that's not good. That's not good.
Spread, that happens like once or twice a playoffs, right? There's like one big loss that you're like, oh, you didn't win that game. Like that's curtains for you. And that's just curtains for the Grizzlies. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and We the People says, what about Poole, Peyton, Wiggins, Porter, and Looney?
Yeah, I mean that may have been the other line. I don't know. I saw some disastrous lineups out there that I was tilting.
And they still got the win. And they still got the win. So yeah. Tyler, I'm going into this game and I'm saying, okay, I think I can fairly assume that he won't get ejected again, right? I mean, obviously nothing's certain, right? But you got to think they're not going to eject him twice. We should get a full Draymond game. Most likely they'll get a friendlier whistle. And then this Scott Foster is like just a wrench in my handlebars. Is that how it goes? Wrench in my spokes? Whatever. Throws a wrench in my plans, Tyler. I don't love the Warriors as much, and it's because of a referee assignment. I don't want to be that guy. I want to handicap the players. I want to handicap the coaches, the crowd even. I don't want to do the referees. What do I do with this information?
It's tough because the information goes both ways. Last 19 games ref by Scott Foster for the Warriors, 16-3. Last 6.
But isn't some of that stupid? Like, if they beat the Kings, does that even matter?
I mean, it doesn't. But then you look the other way. Last 6 ref for the Grizzlies by Scott Foster, they're 6-0 against the spread.
Well, because they're the two best.
Yeah, it's like you're just like you can't play the ref factor here. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to get to.
So then I can just go with my Warriors handicap, and they're the better team, and they cover that spread if Draymond plays a full 48. I mean, this team is so jaw dependent. He has to get to the rim. I don't know. Is Jaren Jackson going to drop 33 again?
No.
I don't know.
But is Desmond Bane going to have another terrible game? Like, that was his first bad game in a while. Like, he could step up.
Good point.
So, I mean, and the Warriors do dud every once in a while. Like, I know it's the playoffs. Like, they have looked good, but I kind of throw out that first-round series against G League Denver because it was one guy. There was nobody else on the floor to worry about.
Yeah, but the Timberwolves handed them all those games on the silver platter, so can we throw that out too?
No, I'm talking about the other side, the Warriors. I'm not taking what they did in the first round as much into account.
Right, like, they've done it year after year.
But it's not the same guys. There's like 2 or 3 of the same guys.
It's the same core.
Yeah, but you got a lot of other pieces that have to do well too.
Yeah, those other pieces don't matter. At the end of the day, they got the dogs that actually know how to like win these games, which matters.
Yeah. It's not like not having Festus Ezeli out there is like hurting them.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're going to like the 8th guy on the bench now.
I know, because I'm trying to make a point and I'm exaggerating.
Tyler, are you trying to tell me that you want Harrison Barnes back in a Golden State Warriors uniform?
No, but I'm just saying, like, who's your Iguodala on this team other than like your Draymond, Clay, or Curry? Because you can't say Poole. He's still a young guy. He could just turn into a ghost at any moment. You don't have another vet outside of those guys. You don't
need Iguodala in this series. That's all. Like, it's just this. It's curtains, man. I mean, come on. It's just.
I mean, I'm not saying they don't have. Like, I'm not trying to say they have a chance, but I'm just saying they don't have. Other guys.
I agree with your take. They can lay a dud. Like the Warriors can lay an egg out of nowhere, right?
And it doesn't matter.
Variance.
They've already got the win. They're not going to lose the chase.
Well, yeah, they're not losing the series. I'll say that.
Yeah. So I understand your point for tonight's game. They could easily just lay a dud tonight and still win the series. So, all right, go ahead, Tyler. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt so much.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was getting at is I'm going to be on Memphis tonight because I think the Warriors are going to dud.
Okay, so give me the player props that you got.
The ones I was looking at in this game, I mean, if you trust Jaren Jackson to stay out there, 7.5 on his rebounds is too short. His double-doubles plus 375. Ooh. So if he stays out there, he's going to get to both of those. Mm-hmm. You could still play Brandon Clark if you think Jaren Jackson does get into foul trouble. His numbers are a little worse. The rebounds are 9.5. and the double-double is only plus 160. I think Jaw's points are a little low at 27.5 because he's just going to dive to the rim every play, and there's no rim protection there. Mm-hmm. So he could go over that. Gary Payton at 6.5 points, I think, is too short. And then Draymond's assist at 7.5, you're getting it plus money. He doesn't get kicked out of last game. I think he clears that number.
I love those props. I really like the Gary Payton prop. The Jaren Jackson, that's a great look there as well. Travis, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm trying to. One thing I've just been like thinking about is like, man, can I get behind Jordan Poole? Like, the price is really good. Like, I just feel like I'm chasing is my only like slight concern. But like point guard's not great. Like I talked about the shooting guard thing at the top, but like I'm struggling with point guard and shooting guard in general. Like I think there's some good guys you can go to, but like Jordan Poole at 6'9" is enticing me. I'm just gonna say that. It's intriguing. Don't know if I'll definitely pull the trigger on it though. I do think that Dylan Brooks, there was a quote from him. He said, like, my job is like to cover Curry and I need to make shots. So he definitely understands he's got to start making some shots. I do think Dylan Brooks' price is good right now, which like I don't want to completely ignore that price tag. He has not been great throughout the series or not throughout the playoffs in general, but 5.5K is definitely something I'm thinking about. I'm definitely considering it. Desmond Bane, I'm considering him at his price at 6'7". I don't mind him. Ja Morant, if you tell me like no one's on him, then like maybe, but I'm definitely not like jumping to play Ja Morant today. I'm not excited to. I'd rather go to a Curry, I think, instead. Just don't think I need to go and jam in Ja into my lineups. Tyus Jones clearly did not have the role that we were hoping for. And it seems like Melton is going to be, someone that they lean on a little bit in this series. I'm not sure. And he could easily lay a huge, just absolute egg tonight. He could shoot terrible. And, I want to see his ownership spread. That's the key. I want to know what he's going to really be owned. And then from there, I can figure out how I want to approach him on the slate. I think that's going to be really key because a chalky Melton, I'm not as interested. But if he has less ownership, then it's something to think about. In that same range from the game before, Derek White is in that range. So that's a good debate to have, like White or Melton. I don't know. It's a pretty close one for me. But I do think on this Warriors side, I like Draymond Green for the bounce back. That price is really good at 6'5" for what he can do. So I think that Draymond Green is definitely someone that I have some interest in. He's probably my favorite Warrior if I have to pick. My second favorite is, I'm assuming it's going to be Poole because of the price. Maybe it's Curry. It's like Poole or Curry is like the big debate for me. On the Grizzlies side, if I had to rank these guys, I'm ranking Jaren Jackson at 1. Then it's probably Bane 2. And that one's like kind of interchangeable. Like I like both a lot. Clark, I'd probably put at 3 at 6K. I think he's a pretty good play. And then I guess I'll put Dylan Brooks at 5.5K at 4. But I'm definitely a little cautious going with that one for sure. So, yeah.
You guys made a great point this morning. Dylan Brooks having chased around Curry. A little bit of offensive drop-off there.
Yeah, and if he does, I think it helps out other guys on the Warriors, and it gets him pretty tired, man. Like, if you're out there chasing guys all game, and then you have to pull up jump shots and stuff, it can just get tougher for sure. So, yeah. And he knows it's his primary role is to contain Curry. And he did a good job on Curry for what it's worth. He held Curry down decently. Curry got in foul trouble. It worked out well. So, I don't
that charge call.
Yeah, you're talking about the late one, fourth quarter?
Yeah. Because I watched the game when I got home.
Yeah, that was a tough one. I
already knew because I listened to the radio broadcast and they were like, "This is an absolutely terrible call," and everyone on Twitter said, "This is a terrible call." So
yeah.
All right, Tyler, what else you got for this game?
Not really much else on that game. We touched on some of the props. If you want to go with some of the player performance doubles, if you like the Warriors, you can go with, of course. I think Andrew Wiggins, 15 plus points in Golden State wins plus 205 is pretty safe. I think he's been one of the most consistent Warriors players through this run. Mm-hmm. So you could do that. You could do the Gary Payton 8 plus points and win. Steph Curry 5 plus threes and win. If you like the Memphis side, Desmond Bane 20 plus points and Memphis wins plus 330. Jaren Jackson 8 plus rebounds and Memphis wins plus 265.
I like that one better.
And Jaren Jackson double and Memphis wins plus 580.
Does he not average that many rebounds? How are you getting plus 580 on that?
He only averages like 5 rebounds.
But isn't that when Adams out there?
Yeah, but you got to think about the foul trouble too. Last year, he's knocked his numbers down.
Do you think he'll get in foul trouble again tonight? He did a pretty good job in game 1.
No, I think he's going to stay out of foul trouble tonight.
Scott Foster, unbelievable, man. Foster's freeze. All right, Travis. Anything more on this game before we move to the best bets?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's. Let me look if there's anything else. I don't think I'm trying to think of like Xavier Tillman at 3-2. He got some minutes, but I can't see myself going there too much. I just think this mid-tier.
Tyus Jones is dead now, right?
I mean, you'd guess, but I don't know. They did lose that game, and I don't know.
How many of these Warriors guys would you play together too? Would you play a combination of Poole, Thompson, and Green?
I don't want to play a lot of them. I want to kind of keep them separate. I'd max 2, I think. It depends what site you're playing because FanDuel's a little different. But the other thing too about the Warriors, if I was playing 150 lineups, or not the Warriors, about Tyus Jones. If I was playing 150 lineups, would I completely X out Tyus? If I liked him last game, shouldn't I have some interest, especially at no ownership? No one's playing him. In 150, I don't think it's crazy to go back to him. I don't think I would do it on a 1 team or even 10 teams. But if I was playing 150 lineups, you don't have to play much to maybe get overweight on it. So I would think about playing Tyus. Look how bad point guard is today. Point guard's not good. Point guard is tough. It's Ja Morant and Curry. I could see both of those guys kind of laying an egg today easily at the point guard position, just not getting the production you need. Let's say Boston beats up Milwaukee a bit. Drew Holiday's 8-3. That's an expensive tag. It's not that's a bad tag. If Tyus Jones has a big game or does something well, that could mean that a Jordan Poole and the Warriors lose the game and then maybe they struggle. I just think there's a lot of routes where the Tyus Jones thing isn't crazy. I would not do it on my main team, but in 150 lineups, he's probably not going to be owned, and you can just get a small amount of him where you're able to kind of get just right over the field on him, which I wouldn't hate.
All right. Tyler, it's time for the best bets. What do you got for us?
I'm going to go with that. Give me the under in the Boston game. I think today's tough, but that's what I'm going to roll with. Give me the under there.
All right. That's dude. Oh, first of all, we didn't even finish complaining. What was up with the pace on our under yesterday?
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
That thing felt dead 6 minutes into the freaking game.
They went up and down the floor. Threes were going in. It was it was like the Simpsons thing where he's in the back of the bus. He's chuckles, I'm in danger.
I'm in danger. Yeah, I'm okay, so we just tagged in Mike D'Antoni. 7 seconds or less is the Phoenix Suns coach tonight. Unbelievable. Okay. Sorry, I got PTSD when you said under again because I love that play last night. I doubled it up. Okay. All right, so Tyler likes the under, and that's under 214.5 right now on Bookmaker. Travis, what do you have for us as far as best bets?
Yeah, Celtics -4.5 is what I bet. I'm sure you could maybe still find it. Maybe it's at 5 now. And is that?
I have 5 at Bookmaker.
Can you find it anywhere else at the other number, or no? Is it gone?
I mean, it's only -102. So if you wanted to, oh no, so yeah, it looks like it's moving the other way. It looks like Celtics are taking money. Yeah, I think you're going to be hard pressed to find it.
Okay, I mean. It was you had it earlier, but I'll just the 5's fine. It's not the end of the world, but I expect these Celtics to bounce back. Yeah, it would be annoying if you lose it on the hook like that, but I like the Celtics to have a really nice bounce back game. I think the Bucks kind of have their struggles. The Celtics show you that their defense is great. These great defensive teams, what do they always do? Spread. They bounce back, right? I expect a good bounce back spot for the Celtics. So you can't go down 2-0 and going into Milwaukee and Titletown in the Deer District, jumping up and down. That just won't end well. So Boston gets the job done tonight.
Dude, I'm going opposite with you. I'm taking the Bucks. I'm grabbing the points. Is the professor in the chat? Professor, join us. Titletown, probably be some little Titletowns running around in about 9 months. He's going to be in the Deer District, jumping around. Everyone's going to be happy. They're going to be having a great time. I'm going to go with the Bucks. +5 there. So Travis and I are going opposite. We'll get some bragging rights at risk, at stake for the game tonight. So, of course, we can share some pithy DMs with each other, whoever wins or loses. Tyler, did you have time to make a parlay for us right now, or is that going to be Discord only tonight?
We'll go with the Discord again tonight. We were close last night with the one in the Suns.
Dude, that one that you sent me when I was bitching about the pace, you missed it by a half point, right?
I missed it by, it was, let me go look real quick.
You missed it on Booker, right? You had a 14.
It was Ayton to score 20+ points. That hit. Campaign to score 10+.
Hit.
Did he get there?
Didn't he, Travis?
I think he might have got the 8.
What'd you say?
What did Campaign end up with last night?
He did pretty well.
Oh, okay. I just know that you guys talked about him crushing, and I saw him on the cores.
Yes, Brett. He only finished with 9 points, so he was one short. But then the Booker 3+3s fell short, but he shot.
He did well DFS wise though, because he had 5 assists and 3 rebounds. So like, if you do the math, like I mean, for the price tag, and especially that actually, I don't know if you could put him at shooting guard. I think he was point guard eligible only, but he definitely wasn't like the worst value play. I mean, there were some bad value plays yesterday, so he definitely wasn't.
I always feel so stupid, right? When I see you guys throw something up on your core and I go, nah, I don't want to do that, right? It'd be like if I like hired an architect and then went and like designed my own house instead. Like, what am I doing? Why not just listen to the experts?
For what it's worth, I ignored the Campaign thing as well, and I went with Georges Niang, which
that's who I had too. So,
but his minutes were there spread. Like I know it sounds like,
I felt like when you talked about it this morning, we shouldn't have taken him on the road. Why aren't we playing him in game 3? That's when we should be playing him. Well,
you're not playing in game 3 because Embiid's not there, right? You're doing it because of the DeAndre Jordan thing, and I mean, it wasn't the end of the world. The frustrating part was like I got the script right, and when you get the script right, like you're supposed to really profit from it, and I didn't profit from it. So.
All right, so the leak, Scott Foster's script got leaked to Travis, and he still didn't make money. But we will rectify that tonight. Well, at least one of us will, because we're on the opposite side. Tyler's on the under in that game. Who in the chat said this, though, to bet the over? Anyways, our guy DJ, just bet the over for the Memphis game. I agree with that lean there as well. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. We are getting Travis out in time to even catch a quick snack before he continues. Boy, you must feel like a CNN anchor during the war, right? I mean, you're just on the air like 24 hours a day. Already done the morning show. Nice enough to come on with us. He will be on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel coming up in 22 minutes, breaking down the Major League Baseball slate. What a hard worker. Thank you for coming on, Travis. Tyler's going to drop that.
I might have to even try and do the Up the Lock show, right? Just like keep going. Just why not?
Yeah, at this point. When you're on a run.
Might as well just go live for the games tonight, Travis.
Yeah. Why not? Yeah, let's just go live. We'll fire up a live stream, and I'll just sit there for 6 hours. Why not?
Excellent. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Nice, lively chat today. Sorry I didn't get you guys involved enough. I'll make sure I have at least a little bit of a snack. This calorie deficit's killing me. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.